What makes Pokemon unique? Generation 2. 3 years after the release of the original Pokemon Red, Blue, and Green versions, Game Freak released Pokemon Gold and Silver for the Game Boy and the Game Boy Color at the turn of the millennium. It was inevitable since the Pokemon fandom wasn't slowing down, with ample spin-offs to tie players over during development. Much like the original, the games flew off the shelves, and gamers rejoiced as they played the game just as much as, if not more than, Red and Blue. Pokemon was thought to have been a fad in the eyes of parents and the media, but suddenly the series had lasted for 4 years and it wasn't stopping. What made Generation 2 unique is how it proved that Pokemon's gameplay and design can grow and expand just like its fanbase, adding more layers to the formula. Probably the biggest selling point of Gen 2 was that Gold and Silver features 100 new Pokemon to be found in the all-new Johto region. This includes the new starters, Totodile, Chikorita, and Cyndaquil, and the new first root Pokemon, Sentret and Hoothoot, among many others. And though these Pokemon were brand new at the time, they were still very familiar to Pokemon fans. The starters were the same Grass, Fire, and Water triangle, Cyndaquil actually has the same stats as the Charmander line, Sentret could become an HM slave like Rattata, and Hoothoot could be seen as a counterpart to Pidgey. They did cement what would become a trope in later installments, but they all brought their own intricacies as Pokemon too. Sentret's evolved form Furret is able to learn Surf, and Hoothoot has access to Hypnosis and other psychic attacks, on top of only being encountered at night. Small differences like these make them stand out from their counterparts. To those who took the time to collect all 251 Pokemon would begin to see even more of the variety that they all brought to the team. But finding 251 Pokemon is definitely a challenge, so because of that, Gen 2 needed to expand its world. Not only did the Gen 2 games feature a whole new region with new towns and areas to explore, upon defeating the Elite Four, players can return to the Kanto region to find the same 8 badges they collected 3 years ago. Returning to Kanto also meant re-exploring and rediscovering the many landmarks around the region in hopes of finding many of the Pokemon that can't be found in Johto, including Johto Pokemon that are only found in Kanto for some reason. Having all these new areas did something to the gameplay of Gen 2. Not only are players now looking for 16 badges and defeating the former champion Red, but now players have to try nearly twice as hard to find all 251 Pokemon. There are caves and areas between both regions that aren't required to beat the game. In these areas come many of the rarer and more sought-after Pokemon, rewarding players for their exploration. Areas like Union Cave, Rocky Tunnel, Mount Moon, Mount Mortar, and the Ruins of Alph all contain hard-to-find Pokemon. Only the trainers whose goal is to complete the Pokédex will ever need to head into these areas. Pokemon was no longer about just getting to the endgame, but now there were so many more places to explore, and even new legendary Pokemon to catch. This gives the two regions not only a new set of challenges, but more layers to the Pokemon world, where players can define themselves as not only trainers, but as collectors, explorers, and masters. Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal may just seem like an extension of the Gen 1 games, but it brought Pokemon to life in the eyes of fans and onlookers alike. The Pokemon world can grow and expand, as does the imagination in the hearts and minds of its loving fanbase. On top of the beloved first-generation Pokemon came 100 new ones, with new moves and even new types. The new region featured new challenges, new unexplored mysteries, and ultimately, more of what fans wanted. The way the Pokemon world grew in ways fans could have only imagined proved one thing for the Pokemon series. It's not just a video game, it is a universe, and it was growing before their very eyes. That is what makes Pokemon unique. If you enjoyed this video, click that like button, and if you'd like to see more videos that discuss what makes any video game stand out, be sure to subscribe. And if you want to see something from me, I made this little video about a writer for the Pokemon anime called Takeshi Shudo. He did a lot of stuff for the first 3 movies, and I thought I'd share just some of the stuff that he went through to make these movies what they are today. So if that sounds interesting at all, feel free to check it out. See ya!